Welcome to the Big Roofs Podcasts. We're your hosts, John and AJ. And today we have our first guest with us, Tim Brown with Hook Agency.
Yo, I'm telling you guys, having guests on is easier. You don't have to think as far ahead. You just have to ask good questions. I'm advocating for Mike Goldenstein next. That's who I'm nominating.
Nice. Nice.
I like
Mike
it.
is
That
awesome.
helps us. We don't even have to think about our next guest now.
Yeah, there you go.
And we love Mike. Mike's the man.
Oh, yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us, Tim. I have a question, and honestly, we'll just go around. We'll all answer this question, but the question we'll have you start with is what we just started the new year, but let's look back in 2023. What was your biggest win in 2023 that you're most proud of?
Whew. I had a bunch of stuff that I was thinking about. You want to say revenue or like something like that. I'm going to go with 11 team members hired, and I think 11 high performers hired at my company, which I'm very excited about. It's growing fast. Had to trim a few, but still 11.
Nice. That's how that goes. Goes.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations. That's huge.
Yeah.
John, what about you? Biggest win 2023?
I haven't even thought about this. There's a lot. It's so funny. I just took one of my Cameron, my Athens area owner, just sent me a quiz, one of those personality type quiz things, and I just took it right before he hit record, and it defined me as a synergist. So I like teamwork. That's like what drives me, and helping other people win in our process. So I think having Cameron rehired, he worked for me for 5 years ago, and I rehired it. That's probably my biggest win, I think, professionally, is having him. I'm super excited, and I'm about to hire another guy too. So I love, like what Tim's saying, I love adding high performing people to my team, and I want us to all win. So like 2023, that's probably what it was.
Let's go.
Nice. Yeah, winning or hiring is huge. I almost want to change my biggest win is for ProLine. We completely transitioned from being just a tool to building out into a full CRM platform. That was definitely the biggest win. Yeah, so that was very, very, very extremely challenging. I mean, that's basically 10x the complexity and the value of the platform. But
yeah, just so you know, if you're listening,
big rewards.
Yeah, if you're listening to this or watching this, that took 6 or 7 months of us not doing really any marketing. Like, we're not selling anything because so we were just trying to like service our existing clients, and then AJ was working his butt off building an entire CRM, and it's continuing to be built, but like more than half the year of 2023, we were in that phase.
Better all the time. Well, let's jump back to Tim. Tim's the guest. Let's get some questions directed back at him. So Tim, you are how about you give your bio, your short version?
Yeah. Owner,
who is Tim Brown?
Founder and owner of Hook Agency, a 29-person marketing agency out of Minneapolis, Minnesota, that specializes in only 3 services: SEO, PPC, websites, for only and exclusively home service business owners. And we have about 85% roofing. So just kind of gives us an opportunity to specialize and kind of learn. And everything we do is custom, which is a pretty big deal in this industry. A lot of people copy and paste and do, set it and forget it stuff. So we're custom and aggressive. And I think that hopefully that shows up in our reputation. A lot of these agencies have terrible reputations. You almost have to acknowledge it every time you talk, because when somebody hears marketing agency owner, they're like, all right, one of those annoying 15 to 17 more leads DM people. And I'm not that. We're trying to learn how to do some outreach and cold outreach, because I think that that's good. And if there is an economic downturn, to know how to do that. But we've gotten like 2 customers over the course of 7 years that we outreach to them. Like the rest of them, and we have 80 clients or whatever, have come to us and knocked on our door. So like we've built a business that creates that people come in. And I don't want to make that too proud, because I do think if you want to grow, like I love growing, I think we're going to have to learn to do outreach. But so far we've had like 2 customers from outbound anything. So it's just kind of crazy that we've grown as much as we have with people. Just like we try to create a lot of demand, which you'll see if you ever follow me online, you'll see we market ourselves really hard.
Yeah,
And
you do a
that's kind of why,
phenomenal
because I
job.
want to have like excess and I want to be able to be selective with our customers.
Yeah. No, I think you guys easily, I don't know if anyone even disagree with me on this. I think easily you guys are the best known roofing marketing agency
Mm.
like ever, at least in the US. I'd say the US, because you serve US and Canada, or do you serve outside the
Yeah,
US and Canada as well?
we serve just US and Canada, and
Okay.
we don't have, I don't think we have too many Canadian
Mostly US.
clients. So maybe a
Yeah.
few, maybe a couple.
Yeah. What is that? So I have a background. I had a very small marketing agency. John was one of my early clients, and that's how we got linked up and started working together. So I have some background here. Can you tell me what that journey was like, starting from, how did you start Hook Agency? Like,
Yeah.
how did all of this come about, and how did you go from nothing to being the most well-known roofing marketing agency or home service marketing agency in US and Canada like you are now? What was that journey? Can you walk us through that?
Yeah. So when I was in college, I started this as Tim B Design, and I got a desk in my brother's shared office space that he was running. And I was really proud of it. And I was, I didn't have a car at the time. I biked to my appointments. I had like a music venue that I remember biking and like putting it on the bike on the bus and getting there and selling that website for $250 a month for 12 months. I was so freaking excited. 10 months, $2,500. And I was so excited. So excited. And creating like finding scrappy ways to market myself, walking around the neighborhoods, going to a falafel shop and giving them half a sheet of paper with I make websites on it, and got a couple, like early mentor, got an early internship while I was in college doing marketing. I worked at a restaurant before that. I was a busboy.
Yeah. What year
And
was this, by the way, just so we
this
have some
is
context?
2000, I think 12. 2012. Yeah, I was busboy at a restaurant in Minneapolis. And I was like, we need to do more social media stuff, so I made crazy social media posts for them, and like it started to actually affect the amount of customers that they're having. And they let me work at corporate. So that was my next step. Then I worked at an internship. I was making websites now in school. I was going to college. It's like my 8th year and a 2-year degree, partying before that. And then I got sober. So all this is kind of like now I'm finally becoming an adult, because I was kind of putting that off, and so I'm like 20, or I'm like 24 years old. I'm like, just kind of like, maybe it's going to be a failure to launch situation. Anyway, so I graduated college and I got a job pretty quick in a bad economy. It was weird back then. If you recall, we didn't know if we were in or out of recession or whatever was going on. It was still kind of like the remnants of 2008, 2009. But I got one because I was so freaking aggressive. I just went and brought donuts to like every employer and was like, by the way, I'll work for nothing. You know what I mean? Like that kind of vibe. My other people that were in my class were like getting like $70,000 jobs, some of them like the kind of the better ones. And I took a $42,000 job because I wanted an opportunity to learn. And they said I could also freelance on the side, which that very quickly paid off because I was able to make more than 70,000 with freelance on the side. And then 2 or 3 years later, I figured out how to freelance on the side, rank for Minneapolis web design. So like Mall of America came in as a lead on my website, and different things like were happening that were a little bit bigger. And so I was able to then create more revenue from my freelance than I was at my job. And I had been promoted to marketing director at a small agency, it's like 25 people. And so we just surpassed my previous employer just this year. But anyways,
Congratulations.
thank you. Then I just risked it. Went on my own. It was kind of more web design, not recurring revenue. So it was scarier. And so just websites. I was designing, developing. I was starting to like find some developers, a couple people that freelance with me kind of. And I had a coach that told me to niche about a year or two in. Lots of haters, lots of people that look down on you. When my company was Tim B Design, I just remember like a big agency guy being like, all right. We were talking about how we popped champagne when we launched websites for our clients. Like, and we like to have them into the office when possible. And we pop champagne because that was good for social media. And it's good to have like a completion moment in web and in app design. I'm sure you realize like, there's just not like, you have to like artificially create celebration moments because the web is ever changing and it's never done. So we pop champagne. And I remember somebody being like, oh yeah, you guys pop champagne down in the basement at Tim B Design. All right. Like making fun of me. It's like, dude, you work for somebody else. Like, and you work at a corporate, you guys will never do anything fun like that because you're corporate and fuck you. So anyways, so I like to think like I have a little bit of like fire in my belly still to prove those people wrong. And I think like over time we did niche into contractors first. And then we took the last 2 years and focused entirely on roofing. And now we're kind of expanding again, just a little bit into HVAC and plumbing. We're not saying we're going to work for every contractor. I realize there's excavators, there's demolition, there's commercial construction. They all have different marketing problems. But we realize that HVAC and plumbing have very similar marketing problems than roofers. So anyways, we're kind of expanding from that. But it was really good to take 2 years and just focus completely on roofing and to really understand the problems that our customers have. And so like now I think partly what's created some like, hey, Tim Brown and Hook Agency is a leading marketing agency in roofing is that I've created hundreds and hundreds of memes for roofers this last couple of years.
Meme marketing.
Yeah, meme marketing. I can talk about that. I feel like I'm probably one of the people that knows that pretty well. We did a lot of office tours, which I highly suggest for home service businesses and roofing companies to go tour the other people crushing it in your area or in a state over. And we videoed that. And then we also follow high performers. So we went out and followed Dan Walrick, the $18.5 million sales guy. And I've been kind of trying to follow people and get around people. It's an age old thing. I'm sure it's in like 7 Habits of Highly Effective People or something like that. That's just like get around people that are like better than you and get around people that know more. And like I've been doing that and it's been huge just to like learn. And they're selling roofs, but I'm learning how to sell marketing better and how to be more persuasive to my team. I'm selling personal development wrapped up in a job. That's what I'm trying to sell to my team. And so I'm learning how to be a better leader. And I just had a kickoff with my team and I was kind of surprised how much I've learned over this past year. And I held a little workshop for my team. We had a couple paradigm shifts. They shredded their previous identity physically. And we wrote down what our aspirational identity was. And I asked them to put it somewhere around their house or their car or something. We had a couple moments that were kind of inspiring. And I feel like all of that to me is like getting around people that are better leaders than me and are building, frankly, bigger companies than mine. And I just keep on trying to absorb. I'm just a student and I'm not going to pretend that I'm an expert. I'm just a student of all this. It's fun.
I love that attitude of staying a student. It's so easy to get away from that.
Mm-hmm.
Allow yourself to kind of start taking yourself too seriously. We were just talking about that earlier.
Oh yeah. The roofing industry is chock full, and for fun, let's take a shot. It's chock full of people that feel like they're experts and act like they're experts. And I think it holds them back. I would ask them to hey, how about being a student this year? Because it does limit your options if you have to be an expert everywhere you go.
Yep.
Me and my wife are trying to get to more events for us. We're going to I think we're going to go to the Traction EOS conference. Yeah. I need to go to an event. I stay a student at these roofing events. I need to also stay a student for my business. And that's something like, as you get wrapped up in business development, if everything's constantly for business development, I think I need to work on getting up to occasional like personal development and business development, like how to build my business events.
Yeah. No, I like that a lot. That's inspiring. That inspires me as well. I love that. Love that mindset. Um, well, one of my questions I wanted to come out of this. So like we have the story of where you got to kind of where you are right now. What is your favorite part of where you are right now? What is your favorite part of running this agency day to day?
Yeah, I had to hold myself back from saying this kind of, but I was getting into a little bit, which is being around high performers, interviewing. So a part of our business is these conversations like you guys, like if you guys have guests, like I do love that. I love having guests on our podcast. And like right now, I'm not gonna lie, I'm very excited about the HVAC plumbing stuff because I'm getting around different types of entrepreneurs that have different things to say. And they're saying stuff that I'm like, like I'm sure if I was doing it from HVAC and then going into roofing, I would have the same experience because it's just different business models, different big insights, different things that they take for granted over there that I'm like, man, roofing needs this. Focusing on net profit, right? Roofers do not do that very well. We talk about our revenue constantly. We can't mention profit on these podcasts. Every time I like
That's
ask
so crazy.
hey, do you mind sharing with me your no one wants to share jack shit on profit.
Or they don't actually know it, or they don't
Yeah.
actually know what it is
Oh,
because
exactly.
they don't focus on it.
Exactly. So that is already old hat over in HVAC. Like they've been talking about it. They have the other one is business owner groups instead of just the emphasis on coaches, which I love the coaches in roofing, but like more groups where they're just sharing in a circle. And guess what? You don't get to do if you're just sharing in a circle. And like the cynicism in roofing towards coaches is what's sad, because there's opportunities to have these groups, and then there can't be any cynicism because it's just your other, it's just your other business owners telling you what their net profit was, and then you're going, oh shit, I should probably get my net profit up this year. So like I just think those are things where I love picking the brains of elite entrepreneurs and then sharing it with the people that are more at my level, which is like it's crazy how high a level of people you can get on a podcast. It's crazy how like it's just like literally I wish I could just pay them for an hour, but instead I just ask a couple selfish questions at the end because I'm like,
Yeah,
man, I don't know what I'm doing. Like I'm trying to learn how to be a leader, and I'm becoming a leader of leaders. That was my identity switch that I want to do this year.
being
I'm
a leader of leaders. Yeah.
Not I'm a bad leader. I've been self-talk. I've been saying that to myself. That's terrible. I should not be saying that to myself. I'm a leader of leaders.
Yeah, that's a wonderful mental shift right there. Well, yeah, so you're mentioning, I love that, like being able to go out and find those insights from high performers and being exposed to all that. What do you think, we're mostly on roofing. Maybe someday ProLine will go outside of roofing, but right now we're roofing focused. And so pretty much everyone's going to listen to this is in roofing. Can you go over in a little bit more depth? What are some of those things that you're seeing in HVAC, in plumbing? You just mentioned masterminds. Is that basically what you're saying there? Masterminds and profit.
Yeah, masterminds. And I know there's a few in roofing, but they have these like Nexstar is an HVAC plumbing electrical. Like it's like a nonprofit, but it's just, and that's I think useful too. Like there's some nonprofits, but they're masterminds.
That's really interesting.
And I think that like they're essentially like you pay to be part of it, and they give it's kind of like a little bit more like what is the buying group right now?
GPO, Limitless GPO.
Limitless. So it's a little bit like it's a mixture of like a GPO and a CEO group. And then like essentially I'm hearing people over there saying like, I learned all this in 2016 from Nexstar or whatever, like just them getting around other CEOs. So maybe roofing needs a nonprofit, like group that's like a CEO mastermind. Like I think that's the cynicism comes from the money, as we like, it's an excuse. We have an excuse towards not having a coach, not having a mentor, because money exchanges hands. Well, if you had one like this, it wouldn't be, your cynicism and your skepticism would have to break away. I just think there's a lot of like lonely island, like people on an island that are lonely in roofing. There's a lot of CEOs that haven't gotten to be around other high performing CEOs. I think that's a little sad.
Yeah.
I think that they're like really, and there's nothing like, they're really proud of $500,000 or $1 million net profit. And like, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's incredible. That's incredible. You should be incredibly proud of $500,000 net profit. However, it's always kind of fun to like, I wouldn't want you to like land there. That's not like the final destination. Like if you're around CEOs that had done 5,000 or $5 million, I can't even think in 5 million, $5 million net profit. Like it's inspiring and it's kind of fun. And it's just, I'm hanging out with people that are over I'm getting to be on these podcasts with people that are over 100 million in HVAC. And I see 700 people staffs and a guy that's like memorized names up to 300 people staff. Like I'm seeing like they're obsessed with leadership development. Like I think over in roofing, I'm sure somebody's going to hate me from this podcast. I feel like every single time I do a podcast, there's people that hate me, but I just like to like be as honest as possible. There's like an obsession with sales development in roofing. And that's good because literally you can't make a company without obsession with business development. Right. But there's like, if you got that plus an obsession with leadership and being a better person, I feel like this is really where the crazy upside is, because this gets you to 30 people or whatever, 50 or 100 or whatever. This gets you to a certain level. And then this gets you to like making leaders of leaders that then can create the 100 and 500 people companies. Like, I'm not saying we all have to be giants, but I'm saying like obsession with leadership development also makes our lives better. And I think like I'm seeing a lot of like obsession with leadership development over there. And I think that like roofing could use a little bit more of that. And like, I do think the ego thing is the same. It's like this, there's just so many big egos in any industry you go to. I do think, and they make more money than me. So like, who am I to say that these crazy badass influencers in either HVAC or roofing or whatever, let's talk about roofing. Like, who am I to say that you shouldn't have a massive ego and that there's not some function to that? Like when big influencers or whatever have a big ego and then all that type of stuff, who am I to say that doesn't have a function? That's probably has a function because everyone wants your time, right? Like if you have a lot of influence or like these crazy giant company owners, like everyone wants your time. Everyone wants to pick your brain and they haven't even listened to your free content or the podcasts you've been on. That's not right. It's not you should go and listen to their stuff first. You should go and study their stuff first that they have for free before you ask to pick their brain. That's the correct thing to do. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, hopefully there's better people out there than us, even if you are making $1 million plus a year or 10 million plus a year net profit. Like there's probably somebody out there that you can learn something from. So hopefully as ProLine gets that plus 1 million net profit and Peach State Roofing gets that 1 million net profit, we can still be students because I think it's a more fun way to live anyways.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
Well, I was just going to say about going back to masterminds, the groups, like we have a couple different groups with Dave Sullivan, and those are like most people in there do more revenue, than Peach State Roofing does. They're they have different issues, different challenges than I do. And it's we try to limit it to actually 10 different guys, and there's 10 different companies basically. Sorry, Emily May, you're in there too. Emily's in there. She's awesome.
Yeah.
And we all learn from each other every single time. And then they're breaking off and texting each other and learning from like their different, like wherever they are in their business and their goals. And even in like geographic locations, they'll have similar challenges and similar solutions. Like if they're doing tile only, or they're doing roof cleaning in the Northwest, like whatever it is, it's wildly valuable. It's very rewarding to me to hear that those stories from those guys who are messaging me. They're like, yeah, we text 2 or 3 times a week just to try to figure out like that's what it should be for every industry. Like that's one thing I'd say. If you're listening to this, like get into a mastermind. It doesn't have to be the roofer coach mastermind. Just get into one that's meaningful, that you can develop really good relationships with somebody who's a non-competing contractor who has similar goals. They don't have to be the same revenue or net profit that you are, but at least have somewhat similar goals in your life and your health and your business and your family, all those things. I would highly recommend that. And then you're just describing Tommy Mello to me, like A1 Garage. Like you were just describing like the leader of leaders. Like that's he's wildly successful in that space. And it's follow people. If we're looking outside of the roofing, like if you don't love all the influencers in the roofing space, find somebody that you do think and you can respect outside of that space in a home service field. And he's one. I mean, he's definitely one that's just like, if you have certain goals, they don't necessarily have to be the same goals, but he is a leader of leaders. He is, he was on our podcast recently, and he was telling a story about during the downtime, and all of his, he had a line. Show, right? Yeah, the Roofer Show. He was
not this podcast,
not this podcast. Sorry. The Roofer Show podcast. And he was telling us a story of like super emotional, because he's like, yeah, all my employees are lining up outside my door, which has never happened. This was like during 2008-9. And they're like, I'll take a pay cut. I'll do like all these things, because he's, developed a culture in his business.
I think it was during 2020, you're saying, right? Or was it?
No, it was like a while ago. It was a while ago. Okay. Anyway, all of his employees were like they're like, we'll take a pay cut just so that we can keep everybody on board. And like, it's unbelievably impactful. Like, it's not just about the money at that point. You've created a culture where everyone, person after person after person, is willing to take a financial hit just so that everybody can stay on the team. Like that's, I mean, there's very few businesses in the world like that. Almost everyone's cutthroat. They're all about like, how far can I get? It's a really good example for something that we should all strive for.
I think though it is those companies that go past a certain, like you can't, I think a lot of home service businesses, if you go past a certain point, you have to learn this stuff. Like, because I'll go visit roofing companies. Like, let's say, I used to door knock roofing companies for fun around here. Like, so I went and visited some, and like, you can sense like just in some of them, you can sense what you're talking about, that cutthroatness and this like kind of seething. Like, all you want is like, this is what the feeling I get in those situations. Like, all you want is money. I know they have more money than me. Okay. I know this marketing agency is not as profitable as half of you think. Like, we're not all like, we don't all have Usher at our fucking Christmas party. Okay. But that can't be traced back, because literally no one actually has had Usher. It's just an example, guys.
You don't know.
Yeah. Anyways, but like, we can't, like, just because you're rich and like your salespeople, you know what I mean? Like, I get the sense like, well, dude, I can tell the owner makes $1 million or whatever. I can tell they're like, they've got this high pressure sales culture based on door knocking. And there's just something to that. There's nothing. I love door knocking, but there is like there's association with the storm chaser. There's something there where it's like, it feels like they're satisfied with just money. And just like the cutthroatness, and like, I get it. You got to fire people quick if they can't perform. That's fine. Nothing wrong with that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying more like, what about aspirational like leadership development for your people? You know what I mean? Like what about going beyond just, the money side? I just wouldn't want to live like that. Like it's more like, as far as clients for Hook Agency, we say we want calm, not agitated clients. I ultimately want to choose my vibe too. I don't just want to make money. And I honestly, I make as much money as I don't like need that much more things. Like I'm not like a big sports car guy, and I don't really care about much like buyable items. I just don't give a shit. I care more about legacy and about like what our business does too. But like if it was just money, it'd make me a little sad. You know what I mean? It would make me a little sad because it's not. I also want to choose my vibe. I want to choose to be around people that I like, and I want to I want to be making their lives better. It's like basically, I just don't think those people are greedy enough. They're not greedy enough because they just want money. I'm so greedy. I want money and those three things I just mentioned. Like, so
I love that. I really do love that. That makes me like that. Not greedy enough. I actually really do like that because that's what I want. It's the same thing. It is very clear to me that I do want to make significant income, but it is so much more important to me. And I get so much more satisfaction. Again, coming off just taking this like personality type quiz, leadership quiz. And it's like, I answered all these questions and they're all of them are about like my team and about how we work well together and like what I get satisfied. Like I love it whenever we have a daily team meeting every single morning. And I love to make everyone's day as efficient as possible, as satisfying as possible, the least amount of roadblocks as possible to feel like their purpose of that day for their profession is being achieved and they're not frustrated. Like whether it's with us or with our clients, if I can help, our team, because there's obviously client issues as well too. So if I can help with that, I love that. I love that because I feel that way. I don't want just the money. I want the other things that are actually way harder to get because you're affecting other people's lives in multiple levels. So I'm going to use that.
What is that test, John? Sorry, Tim, didn't mean to cut you off. I just wanted to make sure we get that name out there in case anybody else wants to take that test.
Yeah, it is called. It's a really easy one to do. Cameron sent it to me, so it's called the Predictable Success Quiz. It's literally predictablesuccess.com.
Sweet.
Predictablesuccess.com. It's I've taken a lot of these tests before. This one was specifically about leadership style, and like understanding. I know this is said a lot. Understanding yourself is really, really important. And you change as you grow and as you professionally and personally, you do change slightly over time. And so you need to understand yourself probably at least every year. You need to take some of these like personality type quizzes to understand like what your strengths and weaknesses are. And
there's an exercise you can do. Like if you ever read 5 Dysfunctions of a Team, we just did the exercise from that, which is essentially go around and they give you like everyone in the leadership team goes around and gives you like one thing that is just massively helpful for the company. And that's one of your biggest strengths. And then one thing that you may not realize, but is holding you back and the team back. And like that, we just did that at our traction meeting. And to understand yourself, to get those like harsh realities from your team, tough. But then you also get like really nice compliments. So I love 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. And I recommend any leadership team read that. And I think like, I love the idea of like, you have to understand yourself to improve. And there has to be harsh realities to what our weaknesses are, which is super tough. But like, I got hit in the face. I think my COO was trying to hurt me a little.
Coming after you.
Yeah.
Well, I will say like that's one thing specifically in our daily meetings. We don't go into that deep because we try to keep them between 5 and 15, 5 and 15 minutes. But I do want to at least touch on that every day because those little tiny things build up over time. And then hopefully, because I like that. I like what you're saying, so we can have more meaningful conversations, longer conversations in the future, either quarterly or semi-annually.
I like quarterly, man. I like that quarterly big long day meeting. Personally.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. I like to plan for quarters anyway, but I want to reduce the actual problem, not just like,
Mhm.
hey, let's build up a big problem. Let's make this little
Yeah.
problem a big problem
Yeah.
for the whole quarter. So
No, for sure.
so I really like that. I really do, because I think that ProLine, that's actually one thing that we try to use ProLine. That's why I like it so personally, because it actually reduces a lot of those issues, like by creating tasks or
Mhm.
automations to help with the communication. Like it really does. People always talk about systems and processes. Well, like that's what it is though. Like it's supposed to make your life better each day, like in give you real purpose in your work life, and using that tool and that platform to actually make sure that those little tiny things don't actually occur. Like that's really, a lot of times it's framed that way. Hey, if we're going through our ProLine process, which we just redid it a lot in the past couple of weeks, what part of it is not helpful? What part of it is helpful? How does this make you frustrated? How does this help your day? Like that's a constant question we're asking, so that
Mm,
no one gets frustrated for these little tiny things.
totally.
How are we doing on time? We should establish just at the beginning. Tim, do you have anything coming up? Any hard stops?
I
John?
do not.
Okay, so we have maybe
You have me
another.
for as
Yeah, it's
long as
storming.
you'll tolerate me.
It's storming here, so all my appointments got canceled.
Okay, because I have a few more questions that I want to get to, but I didn't want to jump into new questions if we had to stop. This might be a little bit of a longer one. One of the questions I wanted to ask, just to get some real, we kind of covered like the mastermind stuff. I love all that. But just as far as like really hard actionable things roofers can be doing, Tim, what is maybe like the top three things that's low hanging fruit that you see
Yeah.
roofers can improve on when it comes to marketing and time management? Because that's a big thing too. Is like
Yeah. Yeah.
they don't want to spend time on marketing. What is like
Sure.
the low hanging fruit here for guys?
Yeah, I think I'll go right away. I think more people should have reviews right away on their website. And I call the way we do it testimonials, which a 5-star review, where it was left, and then the testimonial, and then a picture of the person, ideally smiling, the homeowner.
Mm.
Testimonials. I think that you should have them as high on the page as the design will allow. And if you don't have them now, I would strongly recommend as this being one of your main things, because people can't trust what we say about ourselves. And everything you do in marketing, like, will be better this year if you push those reviews, push video testimonials, and get the things that people are saying in your reviews onto your website, like verbatim, like even in headlines. If they're saying, hey, this company is like, if you're looking through your reviews and you see prompt 3 times, how can we build that into a headline? How can we take a little snippet that says, like, I was surprised how prompt Peach State Roofing was at every step of the process, or something like that. Like, right? Can you take a quote that's like, oh, like we had one on ours built in here. On ours, it said, like, they're removing the trauma. We've been traumatized by working with marketing agencies in the past. They were removing the trauma. I want to use that on everything.
Yeah.
That makes me feel so good. Like, so whatever makes, like, it's consistent. People are saying things like that a lot. And then something that's kind of like cuts through the bullshit. Cause we all, like, when we look at websites, we're all, just so you know, as I'm sure you guys would agree with this, when you go to a website for a tool, a roofing company, whatever it happens to be, agency, we look at it, it's all bullshit. We think it's all bullshit. So unless it's coming from a customer, we're almost assuming it's bullshit. And
Yeah.
so, like, finding ways to work more of that into your marketing is my number one tip for 2024. My number 2 one is to make city and service landing pages. I'm still going to roofing websites and they don't have their services broke out into separate services. If you do roofing and siding and storm damage, can we have a page at least for those 3 with 500 plus words that are custom? And I'm not mad if you use ChatGPT, just customize it with humanity too. Like, make sure you're modifying stuff so it's not looking, because the problem with just using pure ChatGPT with no, like, either feed it custom information about your differentiating features and stuff like that. We're going to talk a little bit more about ChatGPT too, but you want to feed it custom information so that it's spitting out custom information. If you just say, hey, I'm a roofing company, can you just give me a page on storm damage? Then it's going to have similar to the point of like almost like copy and paste as your competitors and with other people that are using ChatGPT. So it's really the copy and paste on just too similar piece that's going to be bad about it. There's nothing wrong with it if you fed in a bunch of information about your company and say, write me a service page on storm damage. Great. So that there is some custom work that has to be done on stuff. And then you were talking about Jasper, and I think tools like that, utilizing additional SEO tools on top of what you're doing with ChatGPT, I think is good, because then it talks to you about like keyword density and stuff like that. But the tip here, sorry, I'm getting off track a little bit. The tip here is service pages, please have them with 500 plus words. Make sure it's customized. Even if you're using AI, customize it, make it human a little bit. And then location landing pages if you don't have them. So like, this is me trying to like prep people that might be hook clients in the future, because like we've had a better time with people that did these, even if they did them poorly. Some of them, they copied and pasted the same content over and over again. At least it was out there. Don't do that. But and just change the city name. Don't do that. We have ChatGPT now. At least do that.
At least do that.
But like, there's opportunity to then those are out there for a long time. And so much about SEO is like the seasoned pages that have been there for a long time with ideally one link to them. So like, get some links to those too. It gets a little technical, right? Like as we get into link building,
backlinks and stuff, you know.
But like, those are my two. So one, reviews on the homepage as soon as possible, right away. Two, make sure you have at least separate service pages and location pages. And then three, let's bop into ChatGPT a little bit more. Like, get your repetitive marketing tasks into you can make custom GPTs. So 2024 is the year of tons of custom GPTs. If you don't have a list of 10 of these by the end of the year, you aren't utilizing the technology as well as you could be. It is fun. I'm going to have AJ, if you don't mind, putting I have 3 in here that I'm sharing with you guys.
Yeah. We can put them in the description.
Yeah. So I'll give you an example of one quick, and then I'll give you these 3 we'll give you these 3 in the description. But one example is like, let's say if you had a employee manual, or let's say Owens Corning, like detail PDF or something like that. Let's say you're an Owens Corning contractor, right? I'm partnered with Atlas now. So an Atlas contractor or whatever, right? And they had a PDF about all their specs and like how to install or something like that. Like, you could put the PDF, you could make a GPT based on that PDF to just answer. You just put it in there, you attach it, you say, make a custom GPT, you attach it, and you say, I want you to answer questions based on this. Or the way I was kind of teaching this recently was like making quizzes. You can put your PDFs in there and say, I want a 20-point quiz based on this. So you could test comprehension for the people on your team. You can tell them to read this employee manual and say, all right, make a quiz based on this. And so then you can just put basically, you know what, I'll put this one in there too. I have a quiz maker. So, but basically the point is you can make these GPTs. All you do is you describe exactly what you want it to do. And I'm just giving you examples of ones I've made in the past, but I just put it in the chat as well. This one will just turn any quiz or any PDF into a quiz for your team to test comprehension. This is just examples, right? Like, people, like, I'll teach on this and then people will be like, give me that link to the quiz maker. It's like, you could make this in like literally 5 minutes. So it's more about like this idea of you making your own GPTs, because they get really fun. Because then like, try it now so that in like 3 months, you like have an idea based on what's possible. Because now the technology is advancing so quick. We just have to test it as soon as possible so that we get ideas then based on what we know is possible by the technology. And I think it is happening so quick, but this GPT thing is what's now. You can make a blog from a YouTube transcript. I like that for SEO because then it's based on subject matter expertise. Even the drawback with Hook Agency is providing us blogs and there's all kinds of people that will do crazy amounts of blogs out there. But if we're just copying and pasting from our SEO tools or ChatGPT, there's no subject matter expertise in this stuff, right? So now John can make a video that's completely about why flashing matters. He can spend the time on the video, making it comprehensive and just saying everything that he knows because he's an expert on roofs. And then you can put that video transcript into ChatGPT and it'll make a blog like that. Boom. And I put that link for that GPT, but you could make one too, right? And you could make one custom to your company where it's like, make sure to mention our differentiating features every time. Yeah. Hey, we allow you to do price transparency with a quote on your website or on our website. We care so much about let's say it's like catch-all or something. We care so much about the exterior of your home that we're going to cover it up with our system that protects the exterior and your plants. Whatever your 3 differentiating features are, we'll text with you, not just call. You can text back and forth with your roofing company. How nice is that? And then you put those in you could make your own GPT that then make sure to mention all 3 of those things in every single one of your blogs. And by the way, I'm recommending that you should not just be churning out AI content. You should be figuring out how to work in your differentiating features, even if it's just in the end call to action on the blog post. By the way, we do these 3 things differently than anyone else in our area. Yeah. And it opens up, if you do that, it opens up what you can blog about, because then you can blog about restaurants in your area and hair salons in your area and different things. And then just mention briefly at the end that you do roofing and here's 3 things that you do different than any other roofing company in the area. But these are just examples of GPTs that I've made. I also do it for not just content, right? I do it for prepping myself for meetings. So I was saying, if somebody has content out there on the internet already, I can I made one that essentially will take the whole transcript and then give me good questions and topics based on that, which it allows me to kind of be a better podcast host. But you could use it for meetings with people in your area. You could have it kind of do research, distill research down. I think summarization and follow-up questions is a good thing you could do with people that are kind of involved with content. I think you could train it to, I train it to do description. I have one for descriptions and chapters for my YouTube videos. I was saying at least these 3, 4 will be in the description. But I really just want to suggest that people in the next few weeks go and make 1 or 2 of these. All you do is you explain what you want it to do in plain text, and it will do the work for you to make the logic. So don't be scared of this. Try it. Do a couple in the next few weeks. And then over time, you'll get an idea about what it could do. But I just want people to kind of start. Maybe spend 2 hours with custom GPTs in the next 2 weeks. And I'm going to ask the audience to make a commitment to yourself to do that. If you're interested in this stuff, if it sounds cool to you, don't let 6 months go by without trying this. So if you want, make a commitment now to make a GPT in the next 2 weeks, if you want. All right. Everyone's made their commitments. I wish I could hold you accountable.
I'm committed.
All right. John, you hold AJ accountable for this. John, are you going to do it?
Yeah, I am. So the way it's going to work for me, the way you said 2 hours, the way realistic for me in my busy day is I'm going to spend 10 minutes a day doing this.
Love
to see
that.
How, that makes the most sense, because
you're going to make 2 weeks worth of these, because literally all you have to do is do a paragraph and then it makes it for you. So it's it's so crazy. It's mind blowing. ChatGPT was mind blowing. This is again blowing our minds.
Love it.
Love it. That's phenomenal. Well, yeah,
And this
that's
will
that's
save
a
you time. This is what I want people to do, is save time on their marketing. Like you're either spending time, money, energy, like time and energy and effort, right? Like it's one of the two. You so like, like I think anything that we can do to help people save time, like what you guys do with ProLine, saving time on follow up, that's so valuable. And if you don't value your time enough to do automation, you don't really value your time. And so like you could probably have a calculator on proline.com that says like, how much follow up are you doing per lead? And then how much time does it on average take you? And then boom, you're going to save 50 hours this year with ProLine. Like that might be a fun calculator. Or like,
I need to work on
frick,
that.
maybe ChatGPT will build that as a little tool for you. Or I like calculated fields for calculators on like WordPress websites. Calculated fields is a really cool plugin that you can make your own little calculators.
Yeah.
So for fun, they ask you answer style. Great
But
book, by the way. If people are asking
oh yeah,
questions about it, you got to answer on your marketing and websites.
they
Uh,
ask you answer that we everything about our marketing is all
yeah.
around. That's like our foundation for everything that we do.
And calculated fields will be a great way to create more of these little tools if you want to like, and so much search volume is like around calculators and different things. And it's also just like a lead gen tool, right? Like just you can make the email required if they use the calculator or different things like that, which I love that tool. Think about anything else that saves time right now in marketing. I mean, I am not super into these ones do you guys use AI to cut up the reels from this?
We do. Yeah, a lot of our
Which one do you use for that?
oh James, our VP of marketing, is the one that does it, and he's gonna kill me. I'm completely blanking out on the one he uses.
I know that there's
He's tried all of them because he wanted to find the ones that were best.
magic clips on Riverside. If you do Riverside, I'm trying to think about, so that's one. I think there's a couple other ones that are like big. I'm trying to find what they are so that we at least give some people.
I want to say that there is something with an R.
Predis is one, Predis.ai.
That's none of those are it. Let me.
Okay, we'll put the one that you guys use in the comments.
Yeah, we'll put it in the comment. I'll ask James. We'll put
Because
it.
the ones
didn't
I tried
know.
weren't that good, to be real with you, but I know that those are super. Opus is the one I was thinking.
That's the one we use.
Opus.pro.
Yeah, yeah.
It's Opus.
Opus.pro is the big one. I
Yeah.
do think it's the best one, and it will automatically cut up reels, and then it will give you like captions, and it will do like an over. It does all the things. So if you do longer form content, that's a really good time saver. What else is a time saver?
It's always better to do it manually. Like you're going to get better clips, but
Sure.
it can pull out like a good number of great clips without you having to actually go through and do it manually. So it's massive.
The question is, are you going to do it manually? And
exactly.
If you're not going to do it manually, then
80-20 principle.
It's like that's the same thing with descriptions. That GPT that I put in there for video descriptions. Yes, if I took the time, if I actually did that, which I just don't do it. So it's like finding these things that do the things that you wouldn't actually do.
You wouldn't do it.
Follow up as well as I'd like to do with my leads at all. So
but
yes,
it's way better to be
maybe
following
my
up.
weird meme that I came up with, the follow up might be a good follow up, but I don't do it half the time. So like, it's more like you're not doing it anyways. So use automation. What else is it? There's so many good time savers these days. I use CapCut to make my reels when I do make, when I personally make them. You guys probably use executive assistants. Do you guys use executive assistants or
sometimes we use CapCut.
If you guys use or like,
you're talking about like VAs,
virtual assistants. Who do you guys use for that?
As of right now, we don't have like a company we go to. We'll just go through I guess we do. We'll go through Upwork or Fiverr. So
I just think it's good to like remind people that not only it's automation to save time, it's finding VAs for things that are reproducible.
Yep.
I use VAs for social growth. So like following and friending and stuff like that, and liking and not commenting. Cause I think, my guys are in Africa and I just, but English isn't their first language. We use so we work with Era. What is it? Era 92 is the company. Area 92 Creative, and we use those guys for era92.com.
Arrow.
Era
Era.
ERA92.com. We use those guys for VAs basically and graphic design VA stuff. So a social VA. So if you see like my, like, and I would say like, even though I'm kind of saying them as a company and maybe they'll watch this, they're a little bit more to manage. The lower cost stuff is more to manage, right? So like I would prefer to have really, I hate that I'm saying this because somebody's probably gonna reach out to them and that will direct their attention to this podcast or whatever. But I'm just being real, which is like I wish I didn't have to manage them as much. And I think that that's always the trade-off with services. Sometimes like Hook agency is more expensive, but we're not as much to manage because we manage ourselves, right?
Yep.
Like as far as like SEO goes and stuff like that. Like the same goes like I hope to over time not have a service like this that I don't have to manage as much. But if you need a cheaper service, they're really good. So that's always like the trade-off with these things is like you find VAs that can do repetitive tasks. Don't try to get them to do crazy strategic tasks. Like the more you define, the better the thing's going to get. But like we should always be automating and delegating easy stuff to VAs. And I'm okay with the fact I have like 5 outside resources that I use. This is just one of them. I use like I have college students editing reels too. You know what I mean? Like I have a guy to manage all that inside my company. So there's like, you know what I mean? Like I'm spending a lot of money on these things, but I'm like trying to, and I think it should all be our goal is to just get an inordinate amount of attention, like unnecessary amount of attention. I do think reels and TikToks is essentially where a lot of attention is. You know, if you look at your phone app and you look at how much you spent like on different apps, that's a good one. But also look at like your wife's, how much she's spending on different apps. Like, and like, ideally we'd like have if you have really good rapport with a homeowner that is a good customer to you, like if you could get them to show you their time spent on their phone, like on different apps, that would be a cool, like little, like, and do that instead of like review one day, just say, hey, I'm going to pick your brain for a second. Could I just see how much time you're spending on different apps? I'm looking at social media.
Yeah.
Cause I'm trying to figure out is that 42-year-old woman, that's like an example of an ideal customer for us. Is she on Instagram? Is she on Facebook? Is she on TikTok? Like, what is she really on? Because then you should try to dominate those times, those places that they're spending a lot of time on. And I'm just like, yeah, I think our goal should be to get basically unnecessary amounts of attention for our business, because that puts us in a much better position when we do need to do business development. And like, it shouldn't all be business development. That's a big mistake. That's one last mistake, a thing that I think people should fix. Stop just pitching on your social media accounts. Like, God damn it.
Yeah.
No one wants to see your phone number again, man. No offense. If somebody's watching this and you're just, every single post is like you pitching on your Facebook, like literally no one's watching anymore. You made it into a ghost town, because the good news is there's redemption available, which is all you have to do is just make a tutorial on like how to clean out your downspout and things like that, like 10 times in a row. And you can rebrand your company as no longer this constantly pitching company on social media to a helpful, and share those little videos, those tips, 1-minute reels or whatever, to Facebook groups in your area that homeowners are frequenting, and boom, you can rebrand your company. But if you're just sitting there pitching, your brand right now is what do you call that?
It's
Bam.
Yeah.
Or, you know, like what else do they call that when you're just sitting there pitching
Just
all day?
pitching. I mean, I mean, commission breath, maybe.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a kind of,
commission
it's
breath.
similar to that. It's similar to that. It's not quite the same thing, but it's kind of, I think it comes from a place of being very focused on you and your company, which is like, you need to be selfish in a way, like when you're building a company, but ultimately, if you're going to attract customers, it's not they don't care about your company the way you care about your company. They only care about what your company can do for them. And so, and then the best way that you can convince them of that is to immediately create value. It's
Mm-hmm.
way more impactful than just shooting your phone number towards them
But
multiple.
AJ, and I'm just gonna play the other side for a second. Why would I spend the time to create content when I can just give them my phone number? No, it's like it is work, right? Like marketing
It's definitely
would
work.
be work. Like
We're going through
that
this, yeah.
if and like we were talking about before this, like we want you guys want this podcast to be you're trying to make more entertaining content. Entertainment is harder than just like tutorials. Like it's almost easier to just do tutorials. So like beyond as you and I know there's some roofing companies doing this really well out there. Probably some that are watching or listening to this. And you guys that are beyond tutorials and you're not just doing like how to and like tips and you're getting into like funny stuff, you're doing memes, you're doing cute, you got the cat next to the shingles or whatever, like the dog with the kid and like you guys that are doing that, like that is the next level, right? Like beyond tutorials and tips and up to entertainment. So like that's to me, that's the ultimate aspiration in all roof. Like in addition to training and helping homeowners to better take care of their home, to like actually get them to laugh or to man, if you could get them to laugh or get
Red
them to
Bull.
like swoon.
Red Bull's a
Yeah.
Red
There
Bull's
it
the
is,
greatest
yeah.
example of what you're saying right now. So Red
Mhm.
Bull
Did it
is
for
an energy
years.
drink, but Red Bull is known for extreme whatever,
Yeah.
driving a motorcycle off the side of a mountain
Mhm.
and base jumping from that. Like,
Yeah.
but it's entertaining, and they
Mhm.
found their lane for what that is. Like, don't try to be somebody else. That if you're
Mhm.
listening to this, don't try to be entertaining in a different way. Do something
Yeah.
that you think you're good at, or you think that you like to record or create content with, and do that thing. It's not funny. Like Red Bull's not funny necessarily. They used to have some funny cartoons, but like
Mhm.
they found their lane and they're wildly successful
Mhm.
because they do that thing, and everybody understands that's what they do.
Other age old examples of this Michelin stars. That's
Yep.
content marketing,
Huge.
baby. That's content marketing. And you can use the exact same principle in your town. Michelin stars, but you're just honoring other people that have done good stuff. They were that's still the tire company from back in the
Yep.
day, right? And they have
Mhm.
this high-end restaurant thing because if people knew about great restaurants, they'd travel
Drive
to
to
them on
yeah.
hopefully Michelin tires, right? And they realized that just selling tires was kind of boring and they could also do this, you know. They also have a mascot and they do other great things in marketing, right? But and then the other one that I think, age old content marketing example, Guinness, Book of World Records.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
That's content, baby.
Yeah.
And that's not like in a way that's bigger than the beer. In
Mhm.
a way that's like we're associating the best in the world at everything with one brand
That's really
that's
good
not
beer.
outside the box. So like continuing like the tradition of Red Bull and Michelin and Guinness to come up with what's your thing. I think we all have an opportunity to find our thing, and it doesn't have to be like anybody else. Those are all three wildly different examples, but they're associating in the theme is a little bit they're associating themselves with greatness. And you can do that too. And I think that
Yeah.
that is at its best what content marketing does. And like,
Something
yeah,
bigger than just your business and what you do day
yeah,
to day.
yeah.
Yeah. I love that. Love that. Well, that was all gold. I do have one more question. It's a little bit of a turn. We're getting a little
Sweet.
bit more tactical here, but it's something that
Yes.
I really wanted to ask you because I don't think this is something you're probably going to get asked on any other podcast. It's just we have a unique scenario here with me having the background that I have in
Yes.
marketing as well. Um, we at ProLine, we see a lot of people's websites because we're getting connected for speed to lead. There's changes that have to be made to get approved for phone carrier registrations for ATP, make sure phones don't have that spam likely label. So we know how to avoid all that. Just we do end up looking at people's websites a lot. And the websites typically fall into 3 categories. 1, well-maintained, all the most recent updates, site's good to go. That's probably the least common one, but we do see that. The second one is one where we get the login to the website, or we try not to log in. If we can, we try to go through somebody else, but this is usually a company, they don't have anyone managing their website, no one helping whatsoever. And we get logged in and there's like 35 updates pending. And it's obvious that no one's logged into this site in 2-3 years, right? So we see that. And then the last one, which is the most frustrating one to me with the background that I have, is we log into a site, and this site is a site that the company is paying can you guys still hear me? I feel like I cut out for a second. Okay.
We're listening.
Where the roofing company is paying an agency or a consultant monthly $500, $700, $1,000 a month to manage their website, and you log in and there's still 35 updates pending, and it's still obvious that no one's logged into this site in 2 years, despite the fact that they're paying monthly for this service. What is keeping all that in mind, what is your advice to roofing companies just when it comes to website maintenance? Like, what is website maintenance? Why is it important? And how do you avoid getting kind of screwed over and just draining money for someone to do nothing?
Yeah. Website maintenance, like you're saying, is kind of, you make sure that you're updating plugins on a regular basis. If you don't update plugins, for instance, on a lot of websites, one day you'll just try to go to your website and it'll just be like the white screen of death or whatever on WordPress people. So those things happen. And so we're just trying to avoid it. And like the other thing is security. So if you don't kind of make these updates regularly, if there's not something going on there, then sometimes you can get hacked. And I'm not going to lie, that hurts really bad. And I've been hacked, and we've had clients hacked, right? Like, and it's a little bit more common. I'm not going to say we've never had somebody that was on maintenance or something like that get hacked, because it's still possible, but it's just more likely if everything's out of date. You know what I mean? Like if you're not regularly maintaining a website, because the technology advances. Like even if all your plugins just automatically updated, which some hosts do, that WP Engine is one. It's just sometimes there's little nuances that you have to get through, but there's also the with the PHP updates, and I sorry to go technical for a second, but PHP is like the language, one of the languages that WordPress website coding languages that WordPress is built on. And they update it, like the internet updates, like to the point where over years, especially when you're talking about like 3-5 years plus. And that's kind of my recommendation as far as like a rhythm on to actually redesign your website. So this year Hook is getting to 3-year period for our website. So we're going to probably update it. I think 5 years for a roofing company makes a lot of sense. I'm not trying to be like wild or anything like that. But even ours, there's so much technically going on that like the back end, like the speed and stuff like that, it starts to like kind of creep down because you're adding like a new tool, right? You're adding some other new tool or whatever. Nothing wrong with that. But like if you add 20 new plugins and it just kind of gets bloated, or like, that's why every once in a while you should just kind of like build it fresh. And the code base is fresh. I think that that's good. I'll say 5 years. I know everyone's going to be annoyed with even that, the 5 years thing. For us, we do that every 3 years. And I've got things on my site, like with page speed, that have been like, we have a lot of videos, we have a lot of images that get kind of like run down. The other thing is tweaking like caching. So like WP Fastest Cache is an example of a WordPress caching plugin. I think like even just going in and testing your site speed every once in a while and then like tweaking your settings on your fastest cache or your other caching plugins, it's really over time, sites get slower and they just get a little bit more rundown. So that's where it's like taking the time to actually do that stuff can help you not get hacked, make sure that the site is not slow. And then ultimately the other thing is content, right? AJ, like if you've got new team members and you've got a team member section, or you've got, just make sure stuff is working. It's like it's images and text and stuff like that, just to make sure it's accurate, right? You want to make sure it's accurate currently to what your company's doing. And I think even after a year or two, you should be updating content just to make sure that everything's solid. I recommend that everyone logs into their website at least every couple months and just make sure everything's accurate. And no one is going to care about, it's just a little bit more complex because John's a current client of ours and I don't want to, I'm going to challenge the audience. John, you just don't think about whether I'm talking to you or not. Like this is to anyone who has an agency, like no one cares about your marketing as much as you do. No offense, no matter how much money you're giving them. You care more about your marketing than anyone outside of the company. And it should be that way. You should care. So even if you have a company, looking at stuff, making sure it's fresh, making sure it feels accurate to what your company is doing, and caring, letting yourself care as much as you do, and making sure that like it's freshened up occasionally. Like you should freshen it up. You should consider what could be better and freshen it up, because no agency, and like literally there's so many agencies worse than Hook Agency, and we're imperfect too, right? Like we're imperfect, but like and we care a lot. Like I try, like our whole thing on the wall is like, try to, care, market, like best roofing companies deserve a marketing agency that cares. Right. And we care a lot, but like, there's a lot of agencies that care less, a lot less, and they just churn through clients and stuff like that. So it's just kind of like, and I think one thing to acknowledge is that there's a lot of kind of predatory marketing agencies out there, ones that own your website. When you stop paying them, they'll take it down, that type of stuff. You should own your website. You should own your hosting. You should own your domain. Don't let an agency own that for you. You should own it. And there's predatory ones that like, just look at the reviews. Please look at the reviews. And this goes for the people that call you too. Just because they called you doesn't mean you couldn't put in their company name and the city that they're in and look at what their Google reviews are. Because sometimes it doesn't come up right away when you don't put the city name. And so I just like a lot of these ones that are just like constantly spamming people's phones and stuff like that. Like, I just think that they confuse people. They confuse roofing companies that then think that they're doing marketing now.
Yeah.
Yep.
And like,
I'll say this.
Yeah.
I'll say this too. Okay. You said that we should, I know we're running low on time, but if you're watching this, listening to this, and you are a roofing contractor, you should care more than what Tim's saying about your website. You're going to buy a truck every 5 years. I know you will. I don't know what the average is, but a lot of people buy a truck every 5 years. That's a tool for your business. This is a massive tool for your business. This is how you buy the tool. All the tools for your other business. This tool, the website. And whether you believe it or not, if you're not putting any effort into it, it won't really work for you. If you have a nail gun and you're not using it, it's not going to work. If you drive a truck and if you got a $15,000 lift on it, you're not hauling anything in your truck, it's not really going to help your business. You need to care about your website, and you shouldn't be upset replacing it every 5 years. If you're going to paint your office every 5 years because you want to make sure your customers like your office space, you should. This is an easy thing. This is, if you view it that way as a really, really important tool for your business, you should be focusing on this a lot. Yeah. And it's only going to get more and more important as the future continues to move. As time moves forward, your website will become even more important.
I just think that there's roofing companies out there that are more focused on door knocking. And I almost wish, because there's always a caveat, like, frankly, if I was a homeowner, I'm going to probably go to your website anyways. Like if I was a homeowner, I'm a homeowner. I would probably go to your website anyways, and I'd also check your Google reviews, right?
Yep.
So, but I think a lot of door knocking roofing companies just don't think of it that way. That they're really heavy on door knocking. It's just something, it's a pattern I've noticed. So it's almost like it's not even
Statistically,
retail.
they're not going to be in business in 5 years, so they don't even care anyway.
Maybe like some of these guys are like cockroaches, man. They'll stay in business. They just pop up with a different name. You know what I mean? Like just like 2 cities over. So I just think that like shit. I just described peach. Okay, cut that part. Anyways, no, but the point is like there is I have a friend, a close friend, smart guy, super smart guy, and he for some reason he just doesn't think he spent a lot more time and energy and effort on his print marketing, like his like the stuff that they had in home that than he did on the website. And his website was a ghost town for like years and years. And I couldn't get him to fix it. He just didn't care about his social media or any of that stuff. And his reviews went bad too. But I think that there's just a different, I don't know. I wish I could delineate between like the door knocking companies and like, I don't know. It's not retail and storm because there's retail companies that door knock, right? It's just like the like brand and marketing focused companies versus the like door knocking companies. Like there's like a literal like feels like a different business entirely. It's almost like is there a name for? It's not storm chasers because some of them aren't chasing storms either. They're just in the area and they just like if they get really big, they have to chase storms. But
it's like reputation based versus just
chasers.
just sales based, I guess. I mean,
Yeah.
sales are the same, but there's companies that lead with reputation and there's companies that don't care about reputation. And I don't know if there's a great name for the two, but there are
They
very different
literally feel like
businesses.
different business. Like it feels like completely different business models. And I like when I talk to those guys, whether they're $1 million or $20 million, we don't make sense for them usually. You know, like because they just don't give a rat's ass or whatever, you know, like I switched out fuck for rat's ass. So I don't know why I did that.
You're just getting ready for the child to start actually copying and listening words. You gotta be careful. Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone's like, because we're so used to listening to hip hop and like some of the hip hop we listen to is like now I'm realizing wildly offensive. Like not just the swear words, mind you. Like
the gym that we go to,
so we take if anyone treated women the way, and I'm like, Junie, you don't need to know that. And I'm singing along to it. I'm not like saying I'm like a saint. I'm just like, I'm sitting there like, bitches, you know, like, and I'm like, like, and it's like, no. And I could turn it off. And I'm like, but now what am I going to end up listening to all the time? Like
just classical music.
Yeah, I guess so. It's funny how things change so quickly. And it's like, yeah, I'm like, I still feel like we have like a couple more months until she starts to like know words. So it's like, does it matter really? But then, yeah, I'm starting to moderate myself a lot more.
Careful. Yeah.
But not too much. Apparently not much on podcasts.
Not well, we don't mind. Well, let's start wrapping up here. We usually wrap up with the question that we usually end with is what are you looking for the most in the coming week?
Ooh, that's a really good one. I love that question. I am super excited. I am flying out to Grasshopper Heating and Cooling in New York for an office tour so she's known, it's Amanda Triolo, and she is known for culture. And if you guys want, I think a good fun thing to do after this would be go watch her year kickoff with their team. And essentially they have awards ceremony, much better than the Dundies in the office, but it's like a real, like legit, like passionate, exciting awards ceremony and a culture that's just really, really forward thinking for the trades. And I think, so I'm just studying that. I'm going out to her. She's trying to do $100 million HVAC company in the next like 5 years. Maybe it's 3 years, something like that. And so I'm going to go look at what she's doing on culture and her office space, because she made a completely custom office space for the HVAC company. And trying to just understand why everyone looks up to her in HVAC, and then also why her people seem to be so diehard, because she has just diehard people. So I'm super excited about that. I'm doing that on Friday.
Love that.
Sweet.
Yeah. I'm going to follow up with you. I'm sure there's going to be some cool insights from that.
Oh yeah. We'll do an office tour on our YouTube. So follow Hook
nice.
Agency on YouTube, and I'll be doing a whole office tour and a podcast from that. So people can follow along on there.
Fantastic.
Nice.
Fantastic. John, what's this coming week?
Oh, I want to know the yes or the no for this new guy that I'm thinking about hiring. I really, really enjoyed having a conversation with him yesterday. And yeah, just making sure that we're a good fit and potentially hiring him. That's very exciting for me.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice. I'm looking forward to. I got a call later today and a few other calls this week kind of related to hiring some development help. Up until this point, it's been pretty much just me building all of ProLine, and it's been a lot more than what it's just been a lot. And we're at that point where
That's crazy.
Yeah, we're at that point where we really need to have at the very least redundancy, where it's not just me and I'm the only one that knows the tech. So we're moving towards that place here soon. So,
and I hear great things about you guys all over the internet, and just I like watching people refer your CRM now, and I know the background and follow up and stuff, but just to watch you guys develop, and I'm excited for you guys. Just remember me when you guys are massive, and then just acquire us.
sounds good. We're gonna need. Yeah, we're gonna need to acquire a marketing agency. I mean, it seems to be the thing, right?
Yeah, you gotta.
So, but well, thanks so much, Tim. Where can people find you? You already mentioned your YouTube. Yeah. Where else are you posting content that people should be finding you? I mean, maybe everywhere.
Hookagency.com/blog, hookagency.com/blog, and Hook Agency all over social. And I think we exemplify the principles that we're talking about here, where we give it all away in a new YouTube series where we it's at youtube.com/Hook Agency. We are also doing a new series, one that we're auditing a website every single week for our 20-point winning website formula, and two, where I'm doing DIY SEO from scratch on a home service business. So one, I built the website on a theme. I'm showing people how to do that. And then also exactly what I'm doing step by step on SEO, so that you can follow along every single week and do SEO on your website for free, and giving every single secret I have away, which I've been doing this for 10 plus years. I've been doing SEO. Our website has 1.5 million people on it a year. And so I'm a proven expert. There's a lot of people teaching stuff out there that really have never done this in any scale before, and they're charging for it. So my intention here is to actually give it all away at a level that really roofing and home services doesn't have currently.
Love that. I love that approach. Well, thank you so much, Tim. It's been a pleasure, and we'll wrap it up there. Thanks everybody for joining us, and have a good week.
See ya.
Bye, everybody.